All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our NFL kickoff picks, preview, whatever you want to call it. Whoever wants to show up, I'm in some pools. Just thought I'd like to kind of record my thought process, how I'm going into my picks, so that when all said and done, looking for improvement, etc., right? So this week we're going into week 7. Got a bunch of spreads. I am currently running 59 and like 36 or something, so like 64%, something along those lines. I don't know. I think I might start this video with just the spreads up, but we're just gonna start. I always want to start with the spreads. Thursday night I picked Cleveland 3.5. It was a pretty disgusting spot, to be honest. Like, of course, Denver, the spread had come down to -1. I liked Cleveland a ton to win the game at -1. Like, that was a really good pick in my eyes. 3.5, obviously a big difference, but I still thought Cleveland was going to get that done. Hurt me though, because very minimal people in the pool took that, because a lot of people obviously following Denver. So I thought that was a spot and you can make up some ground, but it didn't work out. First game we're going to look at here, of course, same kind of story as every week. We look at this. I look at what the possible spreads are that changed as well. Like to make sure, let's get the spreads up. So Baltimore 6.5 favorites over Cincy. Spreads now down to 6. It's making a lot of sense to me. I personally am going to probably be going on this Joe Burrow bandwagon. Just think they're coming out. They've had a very good season by far. So far this season, they had a nice win last week. I think that was against the Lions after that atrocious win against situation against Green Bay. However, again, they're on the road. They're on the road in Green Bay as well. 6.5 points, just a lot. I know Baltimore's offense has been pretty good. Their defense has been pretty good as of late as well. But Lamar Jackson has looked human. So 6.5, a lot of points. Division game as well, keeping that in mind. Next up, we got Green Bay 9.5 over Washington. A lot of people are going to be on Green Bay's side, as you can see here. But it's a pretty simple pick for me. I'm going to take Washington in the points. I think Washington getting that many points. The big thing here is Green Bay, of course, much better team, very likely going to win. I think Washington keeps it close because Green Bay, they're going to be looking ahead to next week. Next week, Thursday night, they're playing Arizona. So are they going to really be as hyped for this, or are they looking ahead to the 6-0 Arizona Cardinals? Because that's a big game. I think they're doing a little bit of that. I also think Washington keep it close. Don't get me wrong. Many times Green Bay's going to get it, but the public's going to be very much on that, I think, as well. And we can see that the sharps have brought it down. The spread is now 8.5, so a point has come off since these went in. Miami 2.5 over Atlanta. Miami, the only question mark here is a big story. Not a big story, but Miami coming back from England. They're not getting the bye. They played Jacksonville last week in England, lost to Jacksonville. So a lot to go there. But, yeah, Miami's got to find a get-right spot. This is possibly the team to do it. They're at home coming back from England. That's the only thing I don't know how to really handicap is the fact they're coming at. But the spread has dropped to 1.5, so a little bit of money coming in on Miami. And I like Miami in this spot. I think they're going to bounce back. I don't think their offense is going to have as much trouble against this Atlanta defense as they did last week in Jacksonville. They're going to be pretty pissed. I think losing to Jacksonville, their season it's gone already, but they're not as bad as their record shows. That's at least what I'm thinking. Next up, New England 7.5 point favorites over the Jets. Spread is now 7 with a lot of juice, so it's almost the same still. This is a tough one. For me, I lean Jets at 7.5 points. Jets coming off the bye. They were in England the week before that against Atlanta. And they lost that one, right? They lost. They had a chance to win, but I'm pretty sure they lost that one. But New England 7.5 point favorites. Do they deserve that, really? The only downside here is I do have New England as my survivor pool pick. So I don't like crossing bets. But probably the right play is the Jets side. I just don't know. Like I said, I do not like crossing bets. New England looked good against Dallas, putting up their offense. I think this could be a spot they could blow it out. Bill Belichick, very good against rookie quarterbacks too. So I'm going to stick with New England. Again, if I'm betting real money, I'm staying away from this game to begin with. 7 points is just a rough spot with juice. I think Jets is, if you like the Jets, I would, you have my backup on that. Next up, Giants at home against Carolina, 2.5 point favorites. Where's this sitting at now? It's up to 3 points, so a little bit coming in on Carolina. It makes sense to me. The Giants have just, they're still dealing with some injuries at wide receiver. Barkley's out in the backfield. Daniel Jones, he has started to turn into his turnover self. So Carolina has lost 3 in a row. And I don't know. Let's take a look at who they play next week, because that might play into it. Like, are they looking ahead? They have the Falcons next week, so that's a division match. The Giants, I believe, play Kansas City on Monday night, so they're going to have a longer break. So this is, if the Giants are going to find a win, this is a spot where they've really got to pick one up, because I think everyone's going to expect them to be losing next week. But Carolina, it's tough to do that in my pool when the spread's 2.5. And you would suspect a majority, definitely the topper players, are going to be picking Carolina in this spot. I think it's just a game theory-wise play. Carolina, it's too risky to go on the Giants side when it comes to game theory. So, got to go with that. Next up in this game, I've been doing a lot of look at this morning because I really don't know what to do. Tennessee, 4.5 point underdogs at home against Kansas City. Spread's down to 4, so people are betting on Tennessee. Could be a couple factors there. Kansas City has not looked great, of course. Their defense expected probably to get chewed up by Derrick Henry. A lot of people are remembering how Tennessee just played against Buffalo. They took up a big win there. But Buffalo had their chances to really blow that one open. Offensively, Tennessee shut the door a couple times, 4th down deep early in the game. Buffalo could have put that one away. They went for the game win at the end. They could have tied us in overtime. Another one of those situations. 4.5 points at home is a lot. But I think if Kansas City does win, and I lean them winning, they're going to be putting up a lot of points. Their offense they're hungry, and they're not satisfied with just winning last week. 3-3 is not where this team wants to be. They are hungry to get back into the playoffs. They don't like how this started. Whether their defense can do it, I don't know. I just don't know if Tennessee can go points for points. When it comes to turnover differential, Kansas City's second last in the league right now. It's something like 8, which is pretty bad. So you would expect that to turn around a little bit. However, if they stack the box against Henry, Tannehill's very capable. So, again, this is one of those games. If I'm betting real money, I'm staying the hell away. But at this point, the narrative to me, I think the public has finally given up on Kansas City. When it comes to sports betting, so it might be a time to start buying Kansas City some stock there. LA Rams 15.5 against Detroit. This is gonna, like, these 15.5 point spreads are just ridiculous. It's up to 16.5 now. Again, doesn't matter too much, and that's gonna just be because the public's just gonna be betting the Rams. No public better. Joe Schmo is gonna be betting Detroit Lions at all. They're 0-6. Could be a spot for them, but I can't do it. Like, so tough. Oh man. And then we're gonna get down to another bigger spread coming up. So that's gonna be, I just don't know what to do in these ones. Honestly, part of me feels leaning Lions. Like, that's a lot of points to give up. I did go on the Giants side last week when they were like 10.5. Are the Lions in a worse spot than the Giants were? So, like, I don't know. One thing I do want to check is to make sure Swift is playing for so we'll just go to this. Let's go to the fantasy. Again, I already talked about how my survivor picks the Patriots, who we've now gone this week 7, farthest I've ever made it in a survivor pool. So that's pretty exciting for sure. So this is just the easiest spot to really
Anita,
injuries.
she has a question about Brandon Cook's job.
I'm looking at DeAndre Swift. I just want to make sure he's in there. If he's in there, I like the Lions' chances to put up some points still. Probably a lot better, but he's still questionable. So a little bit of concern there. There's not really an update. Questionable. Last 2 games actually saw his snap rate increase in both outings. He undoubtedly be available on Sunday, so he's gonna play. So that's good. That's honestly, this might be gross, but I'm really leaning Detroit right now. feels gross, but who do the Rams play next week? It's probably important. They're playing the Texans, so back-to-back weeks now. The Rams are going to have easy wins. So is it next week that they're more likely to not just run over the team? Or are they just going to run the ball a lot and eat the clock in this game? What's the over-under? These are all things you want to consider when you're looking at sports betting, for sure. There's more than just the better team, right? So the over-under is 51 points. They expect them to score quite a bit of points. If the Lions can put up, 20? Then they'd have about 30-something. So I don't know. Can we expect the Lions to put up 20 points with Jared Goff behind the helm? That's the big question mark, for sure. Let's see. What can we do? They kept thinking about it. They kept the Ravens within 1, so that's pretty impressive with that offense. Detroit last week played against the Bengals, a tough team, a team that was really looking to come out and win, right? What am I looking at? What are we, week 7? So week 6, I just want to look at some scores from last week. They only put up 11 and got blown 34 by the Bengals. So this is just, man, it's a tough spot. Probably just pick the Rams, right? The Rams feel safe. I can't do it. I felt like I was just trying too hard to put myself into Detroit. I can't do it. Next up, we got Vegas 3.5 over Philly. I believe the spread has come down to 2. So yeah, I was really leaning Vegas for the longest time this morning, but just seeing that number spread go down to 2, it's pretty rough. It's 2 points. 3.5, it swings through a key number of 3.5. Some things to consider here. The guys, Vegas, their defense has been great. Philadelphia has had one of the tougher schedules throughout the year so far, and they're going to be playing the rest of the season. They have the easiest schedule. Vegas, Derek Carr, they have the running game. I don't know, I'm just going Vegas. Vegas going into the bye, and as we talked about last week, teams going into the bye typically have a better performance. I think if I'm going to be betting this game, this might be one I'm looking at real time, real money, Vegas. So I'm going to have to stay on that side. Next up, Houston at the Cardinals, 17.5 points. And we got to remember, Houston just got shut out by basically, and it wasn't shut out, but they got held to 3 points by the Colts last weekend, 31-3. You would suspect them to be a little bit more. Again, we talked about Green Bay going into like a sandwich situation earlier in the week. Arizona plays Green Bay Thursday. They're going to be looking ahead to that game. 17.5 point favorites here. I got to go with Houston. I think that's part of what it is. I didn't take Detroit. I got to take Houston in this spot. I can't take both huge favorites like you could, but I'm not going to do it. Next up, Chicago. 13.5 point favorites. We got the Buccaneers, of course, and it's now down to 11.5, which helps support where I was leaning. Chicago also went to my expert analyst Kristen on this one, saying Chicago keeping games close. Buccaneers, of course, 13.5 point favorites. They're missing Gronk still, but they do have the weapons. They like to put up 30 points. We could see Chicago put up some points here, but we kind of hope they don't, because I do have them on my fantasy teams as my defense. But anyway, got a lot of road dogs right now, which I guess is typical. Got a couple of road favorites too, but typical situation. And we're going to Sunday night. We got the Indianapolis Colts. I actually think Indy's very capable of winning this game tonight at 3.5 point favorites or dogs. I think they're capable, so I gotta pick them. Right now the spread is still 3.5, but the juice is on Indy. I think a lot of people in the public are leaning San Fran. San Fran's coming off the bye, which again I don't put much weight into as much as public Joe Schmo would. So keeping that in mind. Next up, we have Seattle hosting the New Orleans Saints, and 5.5. It's kind of going to be like what I talked about last week and why I went Seattle. I still think people are overhyping this. Like, they're almost giving them like a big 5.5 point dogs at home on a Monday night in Seattle. I know New Orleans, their defense is very capable of doing exactly what Pittsburgh did, but I don't know if their offense can do any better than what Pittsburgh did. So I'm going to stick with this, but of course, the Monday Nighter is always subject to change. If I do make a change, I'll let the Discord know, so make sure you sign up in that situation. So that's basically going to be our locks for the picks. I went through them, went with my guts, and we pretty much got to stick with it from there. So now we're just going to go through the Heart Sports, the channels, Fantasy League. We got me versus Diz this week. So Diz is just, I guess, giving me a free win. Guy doesn't seem to, no matter how many times I tell him, want to set his lineup. So I'm just going to, got Jones as a quarterback. Like, I'm not putting too much thought into this because Diz is like giving up, I guess. Next matchup, we got Johnny against Off Topic Sports. Both these guys set up ready for the week. Alex Collins is questionable, but we all suspect he's going to play for Johnny in that spot. Johnny, right now in first in the league with the 420 score, and we have Off Topic Sports sporting a nice 3-3. Right now, it's expecting to be a pretty close match, so we'll see how that comes along. A nice little match there. Next up, we got OJ against Jack's Majestic Team. Jack seems to be not setting his lineup as well. We got a couple buys in there, and the same with OJ. If you just dress your guys, man, you're going to take this one home. Like, what are you doing, buddy? But he's still a 30% underdog, even though he's got 2 buys, and OJ only has 1. That's just how bad OJ is this year, 1-5. Make sure you guys get your lineup set. Otherwise, you guys are just wasting my time. And remember, there's a good prize in this pool. I don't know why people aren't paying more attention. But then we got 2 people who are definitely paying attention, Mr. Maverick and Ulan. Mr. Maverick's already got 3.6 points. Denver wide receiver did not perform well for him, but he still got a 50% chance. Darren Waller, obviously questionable. They're not going to know until game time whether he's going to play. Still dealing with some sort of injury. And the last game up, we got Rob's Reasonable Team, who has started to make a little bit of a comeback. Has had a little rough start, but he's addressed some of the issues on his team. Does have a bye here, so he's got to get that done. Again, I put out the reminders. We'll see. First week of the bye, we see who the real contenders are in this pool. There's a jersey up for grabs, guys. Like, so come on. Moving on to my most competitive fantasy pool that I'm a member of. Sitting 4-20 on the season, and it's not a good-looking week for me, I'll be honest. I got Thielen and Beasley on the bye. My wide receiver is not my strong point, so I had to dress Boyd. I had to pick up Robbie Anderson, who somebody dropped, and I actually had to waste some waiver dollars on that 10. And then I'm kind of wondering what to do in the tight end. I got Jonnu Smith and the flex spot even. I got Ingram in there, which is very risky in a 17.5 point spread situation. But he's a running back and he gets the carries, so I figure at the very least he's going to get 2 points. Right now I'm a little worried. Kenyon Drake, I don't want to put him in if Barber's in, and we all know he's in. Gronk's out. I do have the backup tight end, OJ Howard, who does get the red zone targets. But again, I don't know if they're going to get a lot of red zone against Chicago, the defense. I don't know. I'm just going to go with Jonnu Smith. It's pretty washy. There's not a lot available in the tight end sector, so not much I can do here. He's only gotten 2 targets both games the past 2 weeks. Howard might be the better choice if I knew he was going to play, but right now he's questionable. I don't know why. He got 7 targets last week, 3 the week before, and this is when Gronk out. There's working him up, and maybe Brady's starting to get a little more used to him in the reps. But it might be a kind of guy you want to look for when they're playing in Chicago. Again, it's a tough spot. I'm not really sure what I want to do there, but pretty much stuck there. And then we got the last pool that I'm a member of, and it's pretty much set for me. My team's pretty stacked. I had this Josh Allen on my bye and Keenan Allen on my bye, and the rest I'm just going with Tennessee. Quarterback, running back combo here. I expect them to get some points, I guess, against I got a lot of guys from that game, actually. 4 guys on my team from that game. Just hecky. That's pretty much, this team's pretty good, and again, sporting the nice 420 score. So what have we talked about? Survivor pick, I've talked about that. Otherwise, I think we're good. Like, that's kickoff starting up soon. Hockey, don't forget, if you guys are doing lineups for that, something important to me if you ever make it this far. No one will, but I'm just going to put it out in the universe. We got a couple teams next week. Calgary, Anaheim, playing 4-game weeks. Calgary having 3 games in the first 4 days. So if there's some guys available for that, make sure you check that out. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.